Hey there YouTube, welcome to Big Mike Beard Wisdom. So, we got quite a bit of snow. The nice thing is that sometimes it's really windy, which kind of reduces the amount of snow we get in the solar panels. On the not so bright side, it makes clearing the vehicles off a little weird. I really like this. This is just a little foam and plastic. Like Snow Pro. And this is handy because that little foam doesn't really like scratch up the cars. And I've got it on quite a long pole because mostly I use this for clearing off the solar panels, but it comes in handy for a car too because you can reach way in there without having to actually be really close, and then you're not dropping all the snow right on top of your feet. So you can see the way that snow blew, it left very little snow on the top of the vehicles. No snow on the back, but quite the aerodynamic shape on the fronts. So fair amount of buildup, but this is handy because it's nice and quick. And with that foam outer edge, I'm not overly worried about dragging across the paint and scratching anything. And this works way better than like a brush one most of the time, just because it's able to push down through fairly easily. Whereas with the brush, you'd be more or less just sanding as you go. Whereas with this, you can kind of cut in a little bit and pull away. And even one-handed, or maybe one-armed, you're able to make fairly quick work. And while that foam pad is great for kind of like getting rid of the large amount of snow off of vehicles, you know, the old school brush and scraper still has its place. So while it would have been a little bit longer to try to brush all that snow and stuff off the car, the one thing that the brush does is it helps with like little trim areas that you wouldn't be able to hit otherwise. And one of the big things for me is that normally I keep one of these in the car. So whenever you first go to get in the car, I'd recommend that you open the passenger side in order to get your snow brush out. Because there's no point in opening the door, dropping a whole bunch of snow in right where you're about to sit. So if you open the passenger side, if it's going to drop any snow, you're able to just drop it on the side you're hopefully not sitting on. And something else that big old foam pad doesn't have is the scraper end. And you can kind of see this still has the sticker on it. It's because I like replacing these about every year or two. So slowly as time goes by, this little plastic edge wears away and stops being as effective. But like whenever I scrape, depending on your style of wipers, I like to come under the wiper blade and make sure that's nice and broke loose. And then I'll go directly sideways across the windshield. So something to consider whenever you're purchasing one of these is the texture of the bristles. So this one is actually relatively soft, whereas other ones that I've noticed are very, very stiff. Now the really stiff ones will be handy for helping to like push down through the snow. But I like the soft ones, especially on a black car, because I always worry about as you're wiping across, whether or not you're going to scratch the paint. It would take a lot to scratch the paint, but you like, you know, smack into it a few times or something like that, trying to break the snow level off, or, you know, you wipe across it too many times, eventually you may want to sanding it with the other ones. But I don't know, I've always been worried about it, so I've never actually brushed it especially a black vehicle that'll show scratches really easy, with a stiff bristled brush, it's always been a relatively soft one. But also, washing the car, having a nice coat of wax will help protect from that as well. So it'll help let the bristles glide across and hopefully not damage the paint. Then, remote starts are super handy. So a lot of vehicles come with factory remote starts. Some vehicles come with factory remote starts, but they're going away, like what's happening in the Sonata, because they don't do the 2G phone network stuff anymore, which is a real bummer. But the remote starts are handy, because even though you get it really, really close and nice and clean, you maybe didn't scrape everything off of it, and then having the remote start on there can allow you to warm the vehicle up and make it easier to bring the ice off and clean it up. And another nice spot for the brush is an area down here. So with the wheels, this snow and ice that's down here can cause your car to shake as you go down the road. So it might be one of those things where you're driving down the road and the wheel's just shaking at like 40, 45, and gets worse as you go faster. And the shape and style of your wheel can kind of dictate as to how far you're able to get into places and how clean you're able to get it. But if you wind up getting too much ice in here, the snow is kind of easy to wipe out with a brush. Ice is a different story. So if you want to get ice in there, what I'd recommend is going to like a do-it-yourself car wash and using the water to kind of warm up and blast out the ice, because all that weight from the snow and the ice is all being transferred through your suspension, which can rapidly wear certain suspension components that aren't expecting to be really jostled like that. All right, so cars are all cleared off, about ready to hit the road. That's pretty much it for all my tips and tricks that I have for clearing snow off the cars. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to like and subscribe. I'll check you next time.